for a minute about covers. When you're on Teachers Pay Teachers, you really desperately need to have good covers, because a cover is the first thing that people see. So let's chit chat about why you need good covers and how they help you and what they need to comprise of and all that good stuff. And yeah, let's do it. If you're new around here, hi, I'm Becca. I'm an elementary music teacher and I have a TPT shop where I sell all things elementary music, and I like to help you here on YouTube to make your TPT shop dreams come true. So if you are starting a store, or if you're interested in starting a store, or if you already have started but you need a little bit of help, then click the subscribe button down below. Right now you can grab something fun to drink and let's get started. Okay, so first of all, what is a cover? Your cover on your TPT store is the first thumbnail that shows up with your product. So when you're uploading products, that first one is called your cover, and it's just a picture that is kind of like it's a little tiny like sneak peek of what your product is, so that people know what it is they're buying. Covers are so incredibly important. I cannot stress this enough. They are so incredibly important because covers are the first thing a person sees when they find your product. So if they are searching in search and they're looking for something and your product pops up, first of all, congratulations on your SEO work. Then all they see is the title, the first 3 lines, the price, of course, and then the cover. So the cover is that photo that shows up in search. And from just that information, they have to decide if they're gonna click on that listing to see more or not. If you would like people to click on that listing so they can see your product, so they could potentially purchase your product, that cover needs to be so good that it makes them want to purchase. Also, once they get to your store, if they're looking through your store, what do they see when they're looking through their store? They see covers after covers after covers. It is so important to make sure that those covers are cohesive and that those covers are really appealing, because if it doesn't look appealing, people will not click on it. Repeat that. If it doesn't look appealing, people will not click on it. So if it doesn't look useful, it doesn't look interesting, it doesn't look like it's going to work with whatever they're after, they're not going to click on it, and then they're not going to purchase your products. They can't purchase your products if they don't click on them. They won't click on them if your cover doesn't look good. So how do you make your cover good? What do we want to include? That's what we're talking about here today. With your cover, it can be kind of difficult to figure out exactly what you want to do. First of all, you want to make sure your cover is square. So I make my covers in Canva. I just use like an Instagram template. I think I'm gonna do like a cover tutorial soon. I really haven't changed much of what I've done in the last few years since my last one, but you know, it's always nice to have a fresh one. So make your cover square. I just use the Instagram template on Canva. Make sure it's the old Instagram template that is square and not the new one that is rectangular. And that's where you want to start. On your cover, you want a couple of things. The first thing you need on your cover is some sort of picture of your product. I would highly recommend that you, if it's a printable product, you print out the product and you take product photography of it. However, you can also use screenshots or what's called mock-ups. So let's kind of talk through all of this. Number one, product photography is kind of like the gold standard of what you would like to do. That's when you print out your product, you take pictures of it. This is super helpful, especially if it's like a worksheet or a craft or something along those lines where maybe it's hard to understand. I do a lot of like games, and games can be really hard to understand if I just like, you know, put a picture, like think of a card game. I have like lots of little cards that have music things on them. And if you just have that as like on your cover, like that's kind of weird and hard to imagine. So if I instead print out my card game and I kind of set it up so it's like a staged game kind of situation, it's easier for people to understand. They say a picture's worth 1,000 words, and listen, when it comes to clicks, you want those 1,000 words, okay? So you can print them out and you can do them. If you have, again, a craft, a game, any of those kind of things that are really hard to imagine, I would say you need to be making sure you do your product photography. I know it can be time consuming, do it anyway. Just print them out. I use HP Instant Ink so I can print in color as much as I want, and then I cut them out or I fill them out, usually on camera so I can get some videos for, you know, other things. And then I take some pictures, and honestly, I just use sunlight. So I just pick a window in a brightly lit room. Like even this one would probably be okay today because the time changed, and so it's sunny and it's almost 6 o'clock, and I am so excited. I cannot even tell you how excited I am about this. So take some pictures, and that's all you need. I take my pictures just with my camera on my phone, and that's it. I would say if you're gonna do product photography, do make sure that you edit your photos. I just edit them in the photo app because I'm lazy. You can, you know, get fancy apps and stuff, but this one works just fine. Just make sure that brightness is turned up really high and the contrast, and make sure they can see everything they need to see in the picture and it looks nice. Now, if you don't want to do product photography, or you can't for whatever reason, then there are other options. So first of all, you can do screenshots. So a screenshot, or I usually use Keynote, which is kind of like PowerPoint. You can export your slides as images, and then you can use those images on your product cover. So you can do that, and you can have a few pictures of your product that way, and that's okay too. I don't love it as much. If you are going to use screenshots, I would love it if you use the third way, which is to use a mock-up. A mock-up is when you basically like make it look like it's a picture, even though it's not a picture. So if your product is a worksheet, then maybe you take the screenshot of your worksheet and you put it on top of a picture of a desk, and you put like some little, you know, clip art crayons on the side and things like that. And so that it looks like it's sitting on somebody's desk, even though it doesn't. This can take a little bit more effort, but it actually is not as hard as it sounds. You can do, again, all those things in Canva. I know a lot of people buy mock-up photos on TPT, so that's an option too. I also use this with digital things. I'll use like a computer screen looking image, and then I'll put my image of my product on the computer screen, so it looks like it's on the computer screen, and that works just fine too. So whichever one you choose, whether you do product photography, screenshots, or mock-ups, you need to have a picture of your product on your cover. When you use your picture of your product, you want that picture to be large. Do not have 8,000 little teeny tiny pictures, because the whole point of the cover is that people want to be able to see your product, and if they can't see your product because it's all these little teeny tiny pictures, that's not helpful. It would be better to have a bigger photo of less stuff than to have lots of little teeny tiny pictures that nobody can see. I usually like to keep it just a couple of things in my photo. So if it's worksheets, I might have 2 or 3 shown. If it's like a game, then I'll kind of have it like staged. I don't need to show everything on my cover, just enough to get them interested. So make sure you have large product photo situation. The second thing you want to have is some kind of title. It doesn't have to be the title of your resource. You don't want tons of things. I want a short title that tells me exactly what it is. So if this is worksheets about fractions, then you should have on your cover worksheets about fractions. Okay? It doesn't have to be fancy. You want it to be very specific and very down to the point, because again, people are scrolling through the search page and they just see your photo, and if they can see large letters that say in large letters exactly what they're looking for, they're much more likely to click on it. Now, again, we have to be able to see it, so make sure your script is easy to read, bold, large, all that kind of stuff, and you don't have too much information on there. It's really helpful to look at your thumbnail when it's really tiny so that you can see what it's gonna look like. You can also, once you post it onto TPT, you can look at it on your phone and see how tiny it is on your phone, and make sure you can read the words from there, because if you can't see what the words are, there's no point in having them. So big words, it doesn't have to be your whole title, just big words that say exactly what it is. Optionally, you can also add maybe 1 or 2 things that you want to highlight in that resource. So this could be in like a box, or in a little like speech bubble, or a little like thing, like, you know, like the little POW thing on the comic books. So any of those things that kind of highlight a specific thing. So since I teach elementary music, I have resources for everything from K through 5. So sometimes on my covers, I'll have a little box and I will put the grade level that is suggested in there. Or if I'm doing a rhythm activity, I'll put the specific rhythm that is in my product in there. I want a little bit of information, but I don't want so much that it's hard to read. I want you to be like, oh, hey, these are subplans that are print and go, and they're for 1/4 and 1/8 notes. I can totally use those this week. Click, add to cart, buy. Okay, that's what we're looking for. We're looking for really, really, really easy to read so that we want to read them, so that we want to purchase them quickly. So photo that shows off your product, a little bit of text in large, easy to read fonts. Now, optionally, you can add a couple of other things. So you can add a logo if you would like to. If you're going to, I would keep that really, really, really small. You could add other things like that, but really the biggest things is having a large photo of your product and having a large text that says what your product is. These are the two keys that you really need in your covers. And the third thing is you need to make it visually appealing. This can be hard because it's very subjective as to what visually appealing is, but you know, you just got to keep playing around with it until it looks pretty. And I know that that stinks because, you know, you should judge a book by its cover, but also a lot of times the covers are right. And if your cover doesn't look good, no one's gonna click on it. Like, that's just the truth. People like pretty things. And if your cover looks appealing, they're gonna assume that your product also looks appealing. If your cover looks janky, they're gonna assume that your product also looks janky. Therefore, we probably don't want to buy them. So make sure that your cover looks visually appealing. Don't have 87,000 different colors, you know, pick just a couple colors that go well together to have on that cover, and so on and so forth. It can be helpful to look for some inspiration from people online, whether from TPT or maybe from a different store like Etsy. I hesitate to tell you this because I do not want you to copy anybody's cover designs. It is very important that your covers don't look like other people's, because first of all, you don't want them to look like other people's because you don't want people to get confused and look for your things and find somebody else's. Secondly, because that's stealing and plagiarism, and we don't like those things. So make sure that you are using your own designs and ideas. But you can look and just think like, what do I like about this cover? Oh, I like these colors. Okay, maybe you're gonna use some of those colors. Or what do I like? Oh, it's really easy to read this font. I'm gonna use a similar font. Those are the kind of things that you might want to look for. If you are going to do this, I would suggest looking outside of your niche, because it's easier to not copy things that are not in your niche. So look for something completely different so that that will help. And you can also see what you don't like, because you're like, oh, that's really hard to read. Oh, I don't like that font. Oh, that does not look very pretty. I need to make sure I don't do that. So take a little bit of inspiration and maybe write down the things that you like and don't like about different things, but don't copy them. Just take the things you like and create something that is your own, hopefully that you like. The good thing about covers though is that you want your covers to all match as much as possible, because the more they match, the more it looks cohesive, the more you look professional. And that means that once you have a design that you like, you don't have to come up with more designs. You can just keep using the same design and just change out the product, which we like because that's a lot less work. So once you find your design that you like, use that as your template and keep using that forever. Okay, covers are super important. I feel like I talk about it all the time. That's actually why I made this video. I made a TPT critique the other day and I was like, man, I talk about covers all the time. But it's because when I click on someone's store, it's the first thing I see, and it's the most that I see because there's so much of your store. So make sure your covers look really good. It is very, 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 very important, and look out for a cover tutorial coming from me soon. If you're watching this because you're new to TPT, I would, by the way, suggest that you click the link down below, especially if you made it down to the end of the video, because I have a whole like presentation that goes through the fundamental things that you need to know, that goes through like what a thumbnail is, what covers are, what previews are, like all of those little things that you need to know about how to make products, how to upload your products. All of that is included and it's free. So click the link down below to grab that freebie. It has some videos from my YouTube channel, as well as some examples and some writing and different things like that, and it'll be really helpful for you if you are new on this journey. And if you're not new in this journey and you just want to come hang out with us, then you can have it too. That's fine. It's open to anyone, as long as you don't steal my cover design. Okay. Thank you for watching, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye.